We all remember the slow head turn of the zombie in the first Resident Evil, setting up the horror and stressful ambience perfectly for the entire game. The very first Resident Evil opened the floodgates for the survival horror genre, and we have seen many different games carrying the inspiration of Resident Evil on their backs. Throughout the years, we have seen many companies trying their luck in survival horror and making it work, all the while keeping the game unique to its own. Almost all games inspired by Resident Evil have added their own little twist into the mix to make the overall package different and strangely appealing. We have Silent Hill focusing on psychological horror, while at the same time, we have games like Devil May Cry going the complete opposite direction, but still keeping the essence of Resident Evil. If you're a fan of Resident Evil and want to try something new in the genre, here is the list of top 5 Resident Evil clones being better than the real game. Number 5. Daymare, 1988. Daymare 1998 initially started life as Resident Evil 2 Reborn, a fan-made recreation of the original Resident Evil 2. Everything was going swell until the project mysteriously went dark, which was followed by Capcom announcing a formal remake for Resident Evil 2 a few months later. After this minor setback, the team at Invader Studios managed to repackage and re-release the game as Daymare 1998, a game that is best described as a love letter to old-school RE fans. Daymare took everything about the RE franchise and dialed it up to 11, introducing tighter combat, clunky tank controls, a series staple, and much harder puzzles, which made it a much tougher game. That being said, the game clearly is a Resident Evil 2 clone, but it manages to keep things fresh and enjoyable enough to keep fans craving that old-school RE itch engrossed for a few solid hours. More so when you consider that Capcom is not likely to go back to the old formula anytime soon. Number 4. Dead Space. Dead Space was essentially Resident Evil 4 set in space. Developed by Electronic Arts, the first Dead Space was a phenomenal title, blending together elements of cosmic and body horror with tense survival horror gameplay. That being said, the game is starting to show its age now, which is why the 2023 remake of the same gets so highly recommended. Developed by Motive Studio, the Dead Space remake is a love letter to the first game in the series, making careful updates and omissions to create essentially a definitive version of the game. Of course, we also have Dead Space 2, the 2011 sequel to the first game. This was a much faster and harder Dead Space, and Dead Space 2 was in some ways a tonal shift for the series, like going from Alien to Aliens. Regardless, both are fantastic titles that frequently go on sale and are very much worth getting into. Number 3. Devil May Cry. One of the more interesting things to come out of Resident Evil 4's many tumultuous builds and prototypes was the original Devil May Cry. Initially starting as a RE4 build from director Hideki Kamiya, this particular spin-off was deemed to be too action-focused for RE. Instead, the team had the bold idea of developing the concept into Devil May Cry, a stylish hack-and-slash game that features the beloved series protagonist, Dante. It still retained a lot of the Resident Evil DNA though, and the first DMC has some notoriously hard puzzles, fixed camera angles, and gothic environments that often mimic those of RE4. The gamble paid off, and DMC cemented itself as yet another feather in Capcom's cap. The first game is admittedly a little too dated for modern audiences, but the sequels, we don't talk about DMC 2, are good fun games that should offer you a nice change of pace. Number 2. The Evil Within 2. Another game that draws tight parallels to modern Resident Evil games, The Evil Within 2 is a fantastic action horror title with a supernatural twist. The game is also a lot more psychedelic and has you literally jump into consciousnesses where you face off against monsters in dreamlike sequences. No good action horror game lets you out without a gun to defend yourself, and The Evil Within 2 comes with a cool set of firearms with varying degrees of explosive firepower. It's a marked improvement over the first 2014 game, which you should also play, and frequently goes on sale, making grabbing it a no-brainer. Number 1. Silent Hill. The Silent Hill series comes from yet another, and previously controversial, Japanese dev team at Konami. While the first Silent Hill was more of an experimental title, toying with psychological horror and the shortcomings of the PS1, Konami completely branched out in the sequel, Silent Hill 2, creating what is widely considered to be one of the best horror experiences to date. It eventually got a rather excellent remake, courtesy of Bloober Team, back in October 2024 for PC and consoles, making it the definitive way to experience what is now an over 2-decade-old entry. Unlike modern Resident Evil titles, the Silent Hill franchise has had its roots seated in deep, psychological survival horror, where the spooks are deadly, and you have access to a limited number of weapons and resources. It's a very different kind of horror game, and one that every fan of the genre should try out once. Name your favorite game in the comment that carries the theme of Resident Evil, and let us know which game could use a Resident Evil tone shift for unique gameplay.